Nike released yesterday a new ad, which is out, and it is basically the exact opposite of everything that I argue in my new book. My new book is called Republicans Buy Sneakers Too. That is a famous quote attributed to Michael Jordan when he was asked why he did not get political during his career. And that is basically the role model that most athletes followed throughout the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, was everybody tried to be what I would call the Michael Jordan, the Tiger Woods of sports, where basically you might have had an opinion on abortion or some other flashpoint issue, gun control, the Second Amendment, whatever it is out there that I'm probably not going to convince you that your opinion is wrong on. You probably, if you were an athlete, didn't feel compelled to speak out and quote use your platform. It's a big phrase now. Oh, you got to use your platform. Really? Well, I don't know. I don't think it's smart. My position is if you're an athlete, you should try to appeal to everybody, whether they voted for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or Gary Johnson or whoever else it might be. But Nike has made the decision to come out with this slogan, and it is believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. That is Nike with Colin Kaepernick. Now, the irony here is that Colin Kaepernick is actually making millions of dollars now from Nike as a result of this ad. So he's making more money from this than he would be making if he were a backup quarterback in the NFL. These are the details from Charles Robinson at Yahoo Sports. It's a wide endorsement. He's going to have his own branded line, shoes, shirts, jerseys. I don't know what the jersey will be for because he's not actually an athlete. There will be Kaepernick apparel. Contract is a star deal on par with a top-end NFL player. He will make millions per year from Nike. The star deal also includes royalties. Now, several things that immediately jump out that I want to unpack here that I don't think are controversial. First of all, and you guys can help me in studio there, I don't believe there is anyone out there in general that makes millions of dollars from a shoe company and is not one of the best in the world at what they do. In other words, this is a pretty substantial departure for any shoe company. You may not like Steph Curry, but he makes millions of dollars from Under Armour because he's really good at basketball. You may not like LeBron James, but he makes millions of dollars from Nike because he's really good at basketball. I think James Harden is with Adidas. Like, I could run through all of the different lists of available people out there who have shoe contracts. Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, virtually every single person that you think of, Mike Trout. All of those guys are the best or among the best at what they do. I can't think of a shoe company signing a guy who is not a current pro athlete. And even if that person were a current pro athlete, that person is not in any way one of the best at what they do in the world, right? Even the most diehard Colin Kaepernick fan on the planet would be hard-pressed to argue that he would be any better than the 25th to 35th or 40th best quarterback in the NFL. Right on that borderline at the absolute best between being one of the worst starters in the NFL or one of the better backups. I think that's a fair approximation if you reasonably look at Colin Kaepernick. Okay? So the slogan in and of itself doesn't actually make sense. And not that I'm a huge, truther when it comes to slogans and advertising, but he hasn't actually sacrificed everything because he's making millions of dollars to be a spokesperson, millions of dollars more than he ever would have made if he were just a backup quarterback in the NFL. That doesn't even contemplate a higher degree of relevance that he is going to have, right? Here's another larger issue. Nike is the apparel and shoe company of the NFL. You talk about throwing your partner under the bus. The week that the NFL kicks off, when they are finally starting to put all of the controversy surrounding off-the-field issues to bed, when it's finally possible for everybody out there to say, you know what, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in this Eagles and this and this Falcons game that's going to start on Thursday with the NFL season 2 days from now. Nike releases this targeted ad campaign on a Monday, right before the NFL season starts. This would be, I think, a really aggressive and brilliant move if Reebok or Adidas or Under Armour was the official apparel of the NFL. Because then you're throwing the NFL under the bus and you're throwing a competitor under the bus. And as a fan of brutal capitalism, of the competition between companies, I think that would be brilliant. But we're not talking about that happening here. Nike is throwing the NFL under the bus. I don't think the NFL has issued an official comment yet, but this is not the kind of behavior you would expect from a partner. If the NFL had any balls at all, they'd come out and say, you know what, we're canceling this deal with Nike because they have violated the terms of our contract by endorsing a guy who is currently suing the league and basically making the subtext of their entire advertising campaign, the NFL is awful. On top of this to me is the crux of the issue. I fundamentally reject the idea that every company and every entity that exists in America today has to decide that they have to come down on the side of a political issue. I think this is bad business across the board. I don't think Nike is prepared for the blowback that they are going to get from this. Moreover, I think it stands for the exact opposite of everything that Nike has stood for in the past. The Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods campaigns, which I would imagine are the two most successful athlete campaigns that have ever existed in the history of Nike. And we know this because in 2016, Michael Jordan, the Air Jordan brand of Jordan shoes, still sold more shoes than every current NBA player did in the league combined. LeBron, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, all of them. And by the way, I'd put Kobe probably there as one of the top 3 most successful Nike campaigns ever, too. If I were ranking them, and none of those guys are remotely political by and large. They made their statements in their sports based on their excellence on the field, on the court. To me, when you look at this, what Nike is saying is you need to be making decisions now about what you are going to do with your purchase power based on politics when it comes to shoes. And I'll be honest with you. Personally, if I'm out shopping for tennis shoes, you can say, like, what? You're a 39-year-old guy. It's not like you're buying tennis shoes like crazy. You're not a sneakerhead. That's true. But I will choose not to buy Nike because they are giving millions of dollars to Colin Kaepernick. That is my response that I will make to Nike products based on this decision they have made. I can just as easily buy Under Armour. In fact, I'm an Under Armour shareholder, so I should probably be doing that anyway. I can just as easily buy Reebok. I can just as easily buy New Balance or Skechers or whatever the hell else it is. There are plenty of sneaker companies out there that I can give my business to. And I will make a calculated decision on behalf of myself not to buy Nike gear. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give them money out of my pocket. How much does that cost Nike individually for me? A couple $100 maybe. I might spend a couple $100 a year on shoes and apparel, and that's money that I'm not going to give Nike. Are there thousands of people like me, hundreds of thousands, millions? Are there some people who will do the exact opposite? Maybe. I think this is going to be a net negative for Nike. And I think the other thing is parents buy a lot of shoes. I am guaranteeing you, I got 3 boys. When we go out to buy shoes, and that's where a lot of shoes get bought because my kids' feet grow fast, I'm going to suggest that we not buy Nikes. Now, if one of my kids throws a fit and says, I have to have the latest Kyries or I have to have the latest LeBrons or whatever it is it possible that I would end up buying those anyway because I don't want to have to deal with a kid who's mad at me? Maybe. But I'll also push them in the direction of getting another company's shoes. And it could be that this is a decision in my own pocketbook that Nike has made that will end up costing Nike thousands of dollars over the next several years from me. And why do I think that matters? Prior to Nike making the decision to get all political and give Colin Kaepernick millions of dollars, I would not have contemplated at all what shoe company I was giving money to. I just wouldn't. And I think there are a lot of people out there that will make that same decision. Now, Nike might well have done the calculus, and they might have decided, hey, you know what? The value that we're going to get from Colin Kaepernick's brand is going to cancel out the people like Clay Travis who are not going to give us their money. Maybe that's true. I tend to think it's not. I tend to think the people who love Nike already are probably not going to spend more money on product. And I tend to think there are a lot of people like me who make decisions on a day-to-day basis. Oh, I'll buy those shoes for my kid. Oh, I won't. Oh, I'll buy that jersey. Oh, I won't. That will make decisions that are different than they would have if Nike had never decided to get political. And I think overall, this is a bad direction for the country to go in. I don't think I should be walking around in a sporting goods store analyzing the politics of different companies to make decisions about whether or not I buy a particular brand. But I think that's the decision that Nike has put me in by giving millions of dollars to Colin Kaepernick. I don't like Colin Kaepernick. I don't agree with his protest. I think he has been bad for overall American sports in general. I think he has taken one of the few places in American life that used to not be 100% political, and he has made it political. I don't think there is a benefit in any way to this discussion that suddenly we have ended up in with Colin Kaepernick. I don't think it's remotely helpful. Again, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, writing about it, and I think this is a calculated attempt for Nike to try to make money off of social justice warriordom. I think it's a really bad decision by Nike. I think, frankly, this is the kind of decision you make when you have a whole lot of people who all have the exact same political belief inside your boardroom. You got a lot of left-wingers at Nike. I think they all sit around. I don't think they know what the middle part of the country is. I don't think they have Donald Trump voters working at Nike. And I think, crazily, Republicans buy sneakers too. I think Michael Jordan was right about this. I think Tiger Woods was right when he said he respected the office of the president. I think Nike is putting us right smack dab back in the culture wars, and I think it is an awful move for their brand. You may disagree with me. You may even be sitting there saying, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy thousands of dollars more in Nike. I think what has been shown is that if you alienate a segment of the population and you're trying to appeal to everyone, this is important. So people might say, well, Clay, you're alienating people by having an opinion on this. Yeah. Every single opinion I have alienates some segment of my audience because they're like, oh, I don't agree with that. But I don't have to appeal to everyone. We're growing rapidly on this show. My editor just told me, hey, you're on track to have your new book debut on the New York Times bestseller list right now. I don't know if it's going to happen. I hope it is. I hope all of you go buy that book. But I don't have to appeal to everybody. But if I were in the business of having to try to appeal to everyone, I would be a lot more circumspect about sharing every opinion that I have. What percentage of Nike's overall revenue do you think comes from people who vote Republican? 30%? 40%? 50%? I don't know. I hope Nike has that data. I guarantee you that at least half of Donald Trump voters, at least half of them, are going to consider how they spend money based on this Colin Kaepernick decision. I'm telling you it's going to happen. And that means that in order to make up for their decisions, for people like me who didn't even vote for Donald Trump, that are middle of the road and just think this is a bad move for Nike, I'm not going to spend my personal dollars on Nike products. I'll leave hundreds of dollars that I would have otherwise put into Nike's corporate coffers. It'll go to Under Armour, it'll go to Reebok, it'll go to Adidas, it'll go to some other company that they compete with. Are there other people out there that will make up for my money that I don't spend? I doubt it. I really do. Are there a ton of people out there that are like, oh, you know what? I think I want to buy Colin Kaepernick products. I don't buy it. Woke sports is not a business model. ESPN went full-on MSESPN woke sports, and you know what happened? Their ratings collapsed, and they're now in the business of trying to walk back every decision that they made for the past couple of years. To me, this is like ESPN deciding to give an ESPY to Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner wasn't an athlete when she got an ESPY. She hadn't been relevant as an athlete for 20 or 30 years, and when she got that ESPY, she was relevant as a male athlete, not as a female athlete. Colin Kaepernick is not presently an athlete. You might not like Tiger Woods. You might not like Serena Williams. You might not like Michael Jordan. You might not like any of the other big spokespersons that Nike has had. But I think you would have to acknowledge that all of them were the best in their sports. Andre Agassi. Been a lot of Pete Sampras. There have been a lot of controversial stars that Nike has given a lot of money to. But they were all among the best athletes at what they did in their sport. Never before in my mind has a world of sports decided we're going to pay this person millions of dollars even though he's not one of the best in his sport. What's going to happen here? This is my personal opinion. I think that Nike is going to find out there are a lot of people like me, parents, who will make a decision because they feel like Nike has put them in a position to have to decide, am I going to give my money to Colin Kaepernick or not? Instead of thinking, am I going to give my money to Nike or not? In my head, I'm thinking, am I going to give my money to Colin Kaepernick or not? Am I going to support what Nike has decided to do? And my answer is no. And I don't think that's good for sports in general or for companies in general. I don't think every time I walk into a store or consider whether I buy a product or not, I should have to consider the politics of the person, the company that is producing that product. But I think when they do things like this, when Nike makes a decision like Colin Kaepernick, I think they put me in a position where I feel like I have an obligation to contemplate that. And I don't think that's a rare position. I think there are people who will take the other side and say, I am going to buy Nikes because of this. But I just don't think that's good. I think what should sell is the product's quality. And I think that's what Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods and a lot of other athletes of their ilk represented for most of my youth in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. What's going to be my calling card, the reason you're going to want to buy my product is because of my dominance in sport. I don't know that, I can't keep up with my mentions right now because this is an unbelievable controversial topic. I don't know that there has ever been a non-athlete to receive millions of dollars from Nike. Colin Kaepernick is not a current athlete. Every other shoe deal that I can think of has always been predicated on how good of an athlete are you. The hallmark for that shoe's very existence was excellence. Who is the 400th best NBA player? They don't have their own shoe contract, right? Colin Kaepernick's like the 400th best if he were playing NFL player. He has a shoe contract because of his protest. Therefore, his political opinions are being rewarded by Nike. And I'm going to make the decision not to spend my several $100s a year that I spend on athletic apparel on Nike products. Now, I'm not going to go into my closet and burn all my old Nikes and stuff like that. But I think Nike has put me in a position of having to make a decision on politics. Nike pays $3 a day to the people who make Colin Kaepernick's new tennis shoe. $3 a day. Are those people going to be buying Colin Kaepernick's shoes? Are there very many people in poor countries all over the world who are going to be spending $150 on shoes? Nike makes all of their money off of global capitalists who live in countries that have high standards of living. The amazing thing about Nike is they have been accused of sweatshop labor practices, which I think have had a lot of validity. They are paying right now $3 a day to the people who make like LeBron James's equality shoe about how everybody should be equal. I think a little bit of pressure on Nike could be, hey, if you're going to require an American consumer to pay $200 for your new shoes, shouldn't you pay Americans to make them? I don't think that's a ridiculous question to ask. I think that's a question that somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who wants to be a social justice warrior, should have to answer. Hey, Colin, do you think it's appropriate that if you care so much about the mistreatment of minorities in America, shouldn't you care that Nike is only paying $3 a day to workers to make your shoes all over Asia? I think those are questions that Colin Kaepernick should have to answer. Of course, Colin Kaepernick's never had to answer any questions, hardly, because all he does is sit around and share memes on Instagram. But I don't buy into the fact that all over Africa and all over Asia and all over all these countries that have standards of living where people are hoping to be able to have enough food to eat, that suddenly they're going to be like, hey, I'm going to go spend my money on Colin Kaepernick products. I think that's a ludicrous proposition. I think Nike should be more concerned about people like me who have lots of money and have lots of options when I walk into a sporting goods store and I decide not to buy their product. You know what hasn't been smart? Nike's decision to go with Colin Kaepernick, at least if you consider pre-market trading. I messed up the math on this. Right now, Nike stock is down just shy of 3%, over $2, about to drop below $80 a share. If you do the math on this, this means that Nike's decision to go with Colin Kaepernick has cost them about $3 billion in market capitalization for this stock based on the way that it's going to open. This is unbelievable. If you think that Colin Kaepernick was a good move for Nike, he better been worth $3 billion, because that's how much the stock market in early pre-market trading is shaving off of Nike's stock price in the wake of their decision to go with Colin Kaepernick as a spokesperson. Again, as I am speaking to you right now, it is down 3%. Math is always bad for me. Live math, especially early in the morning, like I'm the worst possible math guy. It's down $3 billion in market cap. Market cap, easy way to define it, is the amount of the stock price times the shares outstanding. Nike has dropped $3 billion in market cap, 3% this morning because of the decision to go with Nike. I don't know who said it, but you add up $1 billion here and there, and soon enough you start talking about serious money. I don't know who came up with that quote, but $1 billion here and there, and pretty soon you start talking about serious money. Nike stock on, again, as the pre-market trading goes on, it is moving towards an all-time hit out of the gate based on, I would imagine, a marketing decision. I can't imagine Nike has ever done anything that the market has reacted to like this and shaved $3 billion off the market cap. If you're not aware, Nike made the decision to go and pay Colin Kaepernick millions of dollars to advertise their product, despite the fact they had seen the hit that the NFL took. The NFL ratings down 20% as everything got way more political. I told you on this show, I will not buy Nike stock. I will not buy Nike stock, certainly, but I will not buy Nike apparel or shoes for me and probably for my family. Certainly for me. If one of my kids throws a fit because he needs the latest Kyries or the latest LeBrons, I might still be willing to do it. But certainly I'm not going to voluntarily buy Nike apparel for me or my family. And there are a lot of people, evidently, that Wall Street believes are going to make the same decision. A lot more of those people than there are people who are going to buy more Kaepernick apparel. And as a result, Nike stock is down over $3 billion this morning. It will officially open in about 30 minutes.